I think beginnings are the most important because they do lay the foundation for the rest of your career or business that you choose. Your trust level is actually tested only when something goes wrong. When you are not able to deliver on time, what did you do? How did you take care of it? How did you address? That is where trust is actually built in.
Isn't it also true that we've always seen or experienced that Indians value pricing more?
Of course, and that is why people in India, I've always said it's a golden formula. We buy discounts, we don't buy price. So see Amazon, there are products selling at 97% discount.
Yeah.
How can that be possible? Air pollution is the second largest killer in the world today. It's second only to blood pressure. You know it personally as a friend that I was asthmatic as a child.
Yeah.
I have seen nights where I couldn't breathe. It was as if I was being suffocated. I was being, throttled on the neck. It's bad. I've seen those days. I learned the value of air way back then as a young child, 10 years old. Indoor air is worse than outdoor air.
Yeah.
You spend 90% of your time indoors.
Yes.
And you can make all those indoor spaces good. So that is the marketing and
communication that
we are looking at. So everything is built around that. I think our passion creates a lot of blind spots.
Yeah.
We start imagining things will be accepted, will be liked, people will love it, people will come jumping, running at it. You have to be cynical.
Yeah.
And you have to be open to a lot of criticism, checks from friends, family, consultants, advisors.
On today's episode of The Branding Circle, we are joined by an entrepreneur whose journey is all about passion, innovation, and solving real-world problems. From technology to health and sustainability, he's consistently spotted opportunities and built businesses across 4 different industries in the last 40 years. And what makes his story really unique is not just the industries that he's entered, but the way he's adopted and evolved and stayed ahead of the times. So let's today dive into his journey and welcome our next guest, Aditya Gupta. Welcome,
Thank you,
Aditya.
Ankit. Thank you very much for having me over. Pleasure to be here. So just a little bit of warning for all your listeners. This is the first time I'm doing a recorded interview. I'm not prepared. It's going to be ex-tempo, so excuse any errors. And
Absolutely okay. So you can just neglect these cameras who are looking at you.
I'll try my best.
All right, so let's quickly dive into the conversation, right? And this is my most favorite question that I ask every guest that I've had. Okay, and this has to be important because it is the beginning, and this tells how you became an entrepreneur. About your story, how you started, when you started.
Yeah, thank you. I think beginnings are the most important because they do lay the foundation for the rest of your career or business that you choose. I was born to a family which had been already exporting textiles for 2 generations. And I spent an early part of my life as a child traveling to those countries, staying there. I learned the language just by being there, no formal education. So I ended up learning the German language. Can't read and write it even today. I can speak it fluently. I can think in German. I learned the German people. When I got an opportunity to join the family business, it became much easier. Because by then I was probably
Which year was this?
I joined the family business in 1986.
Wow, okay.
I finished my education in 1986 and I immediately joined the family business. So the foundation for understanding the German market and how Europeans operate and what they expect was already set. That was a great foundation. It's a strange kind of foundation, one which most people will not get. But I was lucky enough to have it. And the language and that benefit of understanding still stays with me and I've used it in my other businesses as well.
What is that one understanding that you've taken from those days till now?
Oh, if I have to talk about the early days, I would say as far as Germans are concerned, it's about precision. And when they talk about precision, they talk about it at a mad level. For example, when you're traveling in a train in Germany, if the train is running on time, as 99.9% of them do, if the stop is supposed to be 16 hours and 23 minutes, you can close your eyes and put your foot out of the train and the platform will be there. You don't, it's not 16:20, it's not 16:25, it's 16:23.
So you say no other country in the world
I don't know,
follows
this is my
precision.
experience, but I think this level of precision and the madness to have this kind of precision is I have seen it maximum in Germany. I'm sure parts of it have rubbed off in other areas as well.
We've heard Japan also
I've
follow
heard
the
Japan
same.
as well. I believe people have told me that when you wear a shirt that's made in Japan, you can't wear a shirt made anywhere else because you realize the number of stitches that they put per inch, etc. There's
so much precision in it.
Absolute precision, and they take this precision for granted. So that actually formulated the first years of my working. When you say something is to be done, or when they tell you something is to be done and you agree, that's taken, it's understood, it has to be done.
Okay.
That was the biggest foundation layer.
Wonderful. And you said you joined your family business in 1986. And before that you studied what?
I did a standard, Bachelor of Commerce.
Okay.
Those days we didn't have so many options. There was Bachelor of Commerce, Bachelor of Arts, or Bachelor of Science, which then bifurcated into multiple fields. So as a standard Marwadi family, did BCom.
So any of your learnings have you had from your college days or from your, I don't know, from school days is again too early, but from your college days that you took ahead with you in your business?
So I think we learned discipline in school. I went to a Catholic school.
Yeah.
And the father was extremely
Where
strict.
in Mumbai?
In Mumbai, St. Xavier's Boys Academy at Churchgate. And the father, who was the principal, was extremely strict. If you were late, if you wore the wrong color shoes, if you forgot your badge, punishments were harsh, physical. I know that's not allowed today, but some of the teachers from our time are still alive. And they actually tell us, we made men out of you. And they say, we can't do that to today's children. And that not discipline allowed. Has stayed with me. I still follow it in my day-to-day routine. Subsequent years in college, I realized that I enjoy researching and studying topics in detail. But the topic has to interest me. I can get into details.
What are your topics of interest?
So those topics, at the college time, my topic of interest was music systems. I loved music. I still love. And that's actually how one of my first business started, but we'll come to that. We'll come to that. But I knew that dad offered to buy me a music system and get it in from Germany piece by piece because imports were not allowed. I studied every available model and went to every possible store in Frankfurt City, matched specs and did things. That's when I realized I really enjoy doing it. I took maybe a month to decide which model I wanted of which cassette player and which amplifier and which speakers. But that research habit and the pleasure that I get out of it has stayed.
Super. And at that time, you're still doing your family business, textiles?
Yes, very much. I was still doing my family business. This is even before I joined my family business.
Oh, okay.
This happened
during your college days. So you've been into research. You like researching even since those days.
The topic has to interest me.
But as a commerce student, you've never generally don't see people who are into research and stuff. There are engineers. There are people who are into science stream. They usually research more.
Well, I'm the odd one out.
And you've built 4 different businesses, which we'll discuss over last 4 decades. That's a long amount of time. So what has these 40 years taught you in terms of branding that you would want to discuss it with our viewers?
See, the first 2 businesses that we ran, the first business actually that we ran, which was the home textiles business where we were an exporter, it was a B2B business. But the only branding that relates in that kind of business where every order is different, every requirement is different in all aspects.
Everything is customized.
You cannot have a company branding as such. That doesn't work. They need a name to relate to, but nothing more than that. The logo, brand. We had a very traditional name, Badridas Gauridat Private Limited.
Okay.
But everybody knew us. Everyone knew us. Customers in IKEA knew of us.
So people knew you guys not by your company name, but by your individual names is what you're trying to say.
Then they knew us by individual names. When I joined my business, I was still dealing with the clients that dealt with my grandfather.
Wow.
And till a few years ago, we were in touch with that family. They stopped importing years ago, but we were still in regular touch with the family. So the thing that remains in the first part of the business is personal connect. And I think that applies actually to all kinds of business. It's not relevant just to B2B business.
Okay.
I think personal branding, personal connect, PR, whether you call it branding or just a connect, I think that's important. And if that is not driven by integrity,
right,
it dissolves very fast.
I completely agree on this. Integrity helps you build that trust which is needed especially for a B2B business, I feel, right? Because in B2B, business cannot be done without trust, because your cycles are longer, conversion cycles are longer, your ticket sizes are much more higher than your B2C products,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. And normally in a B2B, the person buying from you is committed further as well.
Yeah,
He falls flat on his face.
correct.
And your trust level is actually tested only when something goes wrong,
Wrong. Yeah.
not when things are running smooth and you
Smooth.
kept on time. When you were not able to deliver on time, what did you do?
Yeah.
How did you take care of it? How did you address? That is where trust is actually built in.
Have you ever come across any such situation in your career of these 40 years?
Yes.
And how did you deal with it?
Well, the problem was, in that business as well, we were sandwiched between Indian suppliers and foreign buyers.
This is what the global
The textile
business. Yeah.
Now, over here, the levels of offering for commitment and time are not as precise as they are in Germany. So we had to build in buffers to accommodate कि भाई यहाँ पे वो एक standard डालूंगा चलता है वो चलता है वहाँ नहीं चलता So we had to build in buffers, but in spite of those buffers, in spite of repeated commitments, long relationships, we failed.
Yeah.
Now I can't place the blame on someone else. I take the blame squarely on myself. So we have had to air freight full containers as well.
Oh.
Complete containers were air freighted from India to Europe.
So then you make a loss on that particular order?
Severe loss.
And that helped you retain or regain the trust?
It retains the trust. You're not running away from a problem. And again, that's a learning. So the brand has to be built around that. That is the first thing. The second business where we were doing home automation, where we're still doing that business, the textiles I stopped in 2003.
Okay.
I started home automation. Even there, although everybody knows my company name, etc., it's personal trust.
Yeah.
And trust has to matter because they're entrusting their home to you.
Yeah.
In the two subsequent brands, the branding is relevant from the point of view of name, easy to remember, colors. So it's been a widespread kind of different arrangement across each one that goes. We can get into details if you want.
Yeah. And as you said that you worked with multiple markets outside India, right? German, I remember you said. Which other markets have you operated in outside India?
For the home textiles, we were primarily in Germany, Austria, and the Scandinavian countries because they were the only ones that had the small size beds. And that was where we operated. But in my subsequent careers, I have dealt with companies from across the world, from US, Brazil, China, Australia, a gamut of places, manufacturers, buyers on both sides.
So what did it teach you in terms of overall experience of dealing with international clients, and how do they value the products and the brands that you're selling them?
Each country values it very differently.
Okay.
Each
Can you
market
give
is
any one example?
There's a very strong. So I'll give you. I told you Germans like precision.
Right.
Now, when you're dealing with a country like Brazil, you're dealing with a huge distance. How do they trust you? How do they have faith that you will deliver? You won't run away with their money.
Yeah.
That becomes a problem. And they were concerned about the quality parameters that India would follow in textiles compared to Brazilian standards. They're the largest producer of cotton in the world, so they have very good standards. So that kind of covering that bridge, building assurances into the package when you offer them something.
Yeah.
That became the focus part.
Super. So that's a great learning for someone who wants to do business with different countries.
Absolutely. And
this really helps.
And to tell you, in India, clients want value over everything else. Facts are secondary. Price is secondary. They need value, and that value can be defined differently for a high-end car.
Okay.
To a daily article. They see there are different ways of looking at value. Even a 5 crore car can look like value, and a much smaller 10,000 rupee product can look out of value.
Okay.
It is relevant to what function it performs.
Does it depend upon your situation and that time's need? The value changes?
I think they just weigh things. In India, we weigh things very carefully before we make a decision, is something I've seen. And for each product or service category, the criteria can differ from person to person.
Right. But isn't it also true that we've always seen or experienced that Indians value pricing more?
Of course. And that is why people in India, I've always said it's a golden formula. We buy discounts, we don't buy price.
Yeah.
So see Amazon, there are products selling at 97% discount.
Yeah.
How can that be possible?
That I think can be possible if you inflate your MRPs. That's
Simple.
it.
So-
Without that, it can't be possible.
Exactly. So that can be a hook for India as well for certain segments, I'm sure.
Coming to your next business vertical, from textiles in different geographies to home automation and sound systems. The brand was called what? Alcheri.
Alcheri by the Soundsmiths.
You started
yes.
that in 2003.
2003.
Right? So how did you bring about a value explanation for your customers? Because I remember 2003 sound systems, home automation is still very early for that industry.
Absolutely.
How did you explain it to your customer so that it didn't look like a fancy upgrade, but it looked like a need that they have currently for their homes?
You are absolutely right. This is one of those ventures where I just followed my heart.
Okay.
I decided that there's a market.
And it comes from way back in your college days when you did research
and my
on sound
continued
systems.
passion for music and movies since then.
Yeah.
Before I started Soundsmiths, it was fixed. I was watching a movie every night. I loved movies that much.
Wow.
I still watch a lot of movies. Music also was a big passion. And so that became an easy choice. And actually what happened is, in the late 90s, India opened up its imports. So there was an exhibition. I went to see what materials were available. I decided to upgrade my system. When I saw what was available and I saw the way that it was being sold, I found a gap.
Okay.
The best brands and products were not available in India. And the way it was being sold was...
How was it sold?
Not enough stock, no experience centers.
Okay.
You have to buy on blind faith, etc. So it wasn't done. And the market was raw. It was undeveloped. There wasn't an existing market for...
Those days were still that imported goods ka thing pertained. Ke if you wanted to buy something imported,
Yes.
you don't have...
You can't import.
You can't import. You can't experience them here.
This has just opened up. So
okay.
late 90s, we saw this. So I decided to enter this business, A, because I had the passion. B, because I felt there was a big market gap and I felt that there was a demand. But I decided the market demand based on my feeling. No study.
So the market gap that you identified was that there's no right way of selling that they are doing.
They were
no
not doing it the
experience
right way.
centers.
They weren't doing it the right way. So
Again, way ahead of time.
problem, a standard problem with me,
Yeah.
which you will see in future as well. So I decided at my launch, I bought 13 new brands to India, if I remember correctly. 13 or 14 new brands I bought to India.
All into sound systems.
All into sounds. That time automation had not yet started.
Okay.
I started this business before automation became mainstream. So sound systems, and I got projectors and sound system for movies and music basically.
Correct.
And I got the best brands that studios like A.R. Rahman use in their recording studios. We got their home section to India. So we had the pleasure of working with some of the best companies. So I remember I didn't have a showroom to start with.
Okay.
And I started things in a rush. I ran my showroom out of Ritz Hotel. I took a suite there for 6 months.
Wow.
And I converted a suite into 3 demo rooms.
Super.
And I ran from there for 6 months or a year, close to a year. I ran my system for there. Then I built my own showroom.
Wasn't that an expensive proposition for your
very
business?
Very expensive. But when you're driven by passion, you do go mad.
But then you would have taken a place on rent and set up your experience center there.
Yeah, but then making, building, designing would have taken time. Instead of which I took a hotel suite and I could start tomorrow.
Why did hotel suite make sense for you and not set up your own space? Was it that it is ready for soundproof rooms and stuff?
No, it's not soundproof, but it's more like a home ambience, which is critical for good, which makes more sense to a person.
Okay.
The way people are demoing today or abroad is that they are giving them sound in perfect conditions, which are not the way the sound will be reproduced at home. So it's a fallacy.
Oh, so this brings to the problem that you saw that the products were not sold properly.
Not sold properly.
So you don't get the experience when you go to a showroom.
No, you don't. They don't give you real world experience and they don't solve real world problem.
Wow.
Then I built my own showroom at Lower Parel.
Okay.
Built a large home theater, which was the first of its kind. and all the top companies in the world had come for the opening.
Wow.
And they all commented that it's among the top 10% of showrooms that they'd seen in the world.
And how did that business turn up from
It's turned up well.
2003 to
It's going great.
still it's going great?
It's 23
Can
years
you
now.
touch
It's
upon
doing
some
well.
projects, some interesting projects that you've done, or some
So
problems
we
that you
focus
faced?
only on homes.
Right.
So we take on projects that where we design the solution from ground up.
Okay.
We implement it, service it, program it, fine tune it as per the client's needs.
Okay.
Our strength lies in the fact that we are brand agnostic
Okay.
and we don't restrict ourselves to any brand, product, or technology. We choose what is required for the client from all the availability in the market. And that's gone well. Unfortunately, I can't give names due to NDAs and respect for clients' privacy. But we've had the pleasure of doing some of the largest and biggest homes in the country, some in excess of 70,000 square feet.
Wow.
So
Huge.
it's been a great journey. I still enjoy it. I love it.
So this is a very high-end or high-value product that you were selling, right?
Yes.
And you made a very nice point here that you can't sell them standard products. And you said that's why we were not brand agnostic, correct? Whichever brands I think the clients chose, you were okay, but you gave them a solution for their
Absolutely.
space.
I suggested the brands.
You suggested the brands.
I suggest the brand, models, shape, sizes. We offer them options. We understand all the criteria and we design our individuals. So no two homes that I've done in 23 years have been the same.
And what would you say to someone who's just, buying a home theater system from Chroma or a Vijay Sales and putting up in their homes?
The best analogy in my industry has always been that of automobiles.
Okay.
You can go from point A to point B in anything from a cycle to an auto rickshaw to a Honda City to a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
If you're looking purely at function, then there's no difference between them.
Correct.
But the experience and how much you're willing to pay for it is the defining factor. So we never insist on a bare minimum for a client as a price point. We choose based on their budgets.
Okay.
But value addition, which Chroma cannot do.
Yeah. Again, a follow-up question on this. How do you kind of find these kind of customers who look for value addition and not just a run-of-the-mill product or off-the-shelf product?
Typically, we'll have to look for new homes, but it was very difficult in the beginning. You had to wait for friends and family to start getting to know you. And then referrals, we get referrals mainly. And that's how we don't advertise at all. Again, the brand over there has to be built on trust.
Yeah.
It has to be built on your knowledge, experience, and integrity.
So if someone who's looking to build a brand into a complete customized solution, it also has to be built on integrity.
Only one word, integrity.
Yeah.
Above all else.
Now coming to your next venture, the third one. I hope we have not missed any important thing in the second venture yet.
No. It's
wonderful. So the third one, Mosclear. When did you start this one?
Mosclear I started 2 years back.
Okay.
Actually, somebody had approached me with an idea that they would like my help in selling their systems for mosquito management.
Okay.
Because they know that I have a client base. See, because I interact with high-end clients all the time, I get a great insight into what their daily problems are. Now, imagine somebody with a sprawling 3 or 5 acre home in Delhi, but they can't sit out in the garden. They can't have the evening tea, morning tea. They can't host a party simply because of mosquitoes.
Perfect.
It was a real-world problem and it needed a real-world solution. Insecticides and fumigation doesn't work. So we were approached by a company who was offering a solution.
Okay.
But he was overpriced. And as always, before entering into a business, I went into research.
Right.
And then I found that the best company and the person who had actually designed that concept was a company sitting out of Germany.
Okay.
And I just picked up the call and spoke to them in German. And they passed my number and name on to their sales director in Thailand.
Thailand, okay.
Who called me up, and first point was that I got a call from Germany and they said there's somebody from India who speaks German. So you see how a basic skill learnt out of
Curiosity,
no education became an asset. They gave me the representation for India. So we've been working with them since then in solving mosquito problems where we can.
So again, you identified the problem of your customers.
Absolutely. It has to start with the problem.
So you're saying there were no solutions to that particular problem?
Genuinely speaking, there is very little that you can do for mosquitoes without poison. And you have to remember that if you use poison, they get they start becoming resistant to it, and that
Right.
poison affects you as well. If you're spraying it in your garden and your home, it's going to affect you. So it's not a real solution. And this solution actually removes 95% of the mosquitoes.
So how did you communicate this? So once you launched this brand, what I'm seeing this is that you found a problem through your customers. You identified the right solution, which was based in Germany. How did you then communicate once you started this business? How did you communicate this to your next future set of customers? Because that's very crucial.
So we approached hotels, we approached the homeowners that we had done homes for. We showed them what it does. In the initial phases, of course, there was also some concern: will it work? How can this work? Etc. We had to give proof as well.
Right.
Today we are established in several clubs and homes. But the biggest stumbling block for a product like this in India is the fact that it requires a lot of customer education. And people, again, coming to the value point, they compare it with a mosquito coil.
Yeah, that's what I was about to come to, that in India, you get a mosquito coil for 10-20 bucks.
Yeah, all out, good night.
And what did your machine cost?
My machine started about the outdoor machines at 60, the indoor is at 15,000.
So how did you, convince the customers to spend that kind of money?
It is difficult. Even if they have the spending power, people don't easily buy into this and buy into something so expensive. The comparison is that with a mosquito coil or a good night or a similar product, which they feel works, and they're willing to ignore the toxicity.
Which channels did you, choose to particularly educate your customers here?
Personal connect, and it's actually very time consuming. So we have to be very careful who we work with. It has to be reasonably large size.
Group size.
Otherwise, it's not viable to spend that much time on it.
So you're saying that if you want to do a high value or high end product, you'll have to do a lot of consumer education. And it is not possible through your normal marketing channels?
Very difficult. In today's time, I think it's horribly expensive.
Okay.
It's very expensive. Imagine trying to put out a campaign on social media that you want people to stick, that you want to stick to people. Instagram, Facebook.
Okay.
You know what the costs are. They can kill you.
Yeah.
So unless you have a huge packet of burn money, you can't go through that.
So
we are bootstrapped in all our businesses. So
there's a saying in today's marketing world or D2C businesses that if you are two partners, you also have a third partner, which is Meta and Google.
Absolutely. I think they are the biggest shareholders of most businesses today. Yeah? That's very true. That's very well said, actually.
But then in a way, are you not stopping the growth of your business or the brand, which is actually a real world problem, right? So if you're not advertising on your regular channels or social medias and stuff, are you not stopping the growth? Are you not restricting your products to reach to your masses?
It is very restrictive. But we are struggling with justifying the value to, if we plan to take it to the masses, we have the feeling that we might not be able to justify it, the value proposition to the masses.
Okay.
It'll be a select segment market only.
Okay.
And for that, we are doing adequate.
Okay. There's
no use in planning that segment because all my friends and family, they send me videos of some laser zapping machine and this dish can do this and this citronella. And I mean, I can't teach each one of them that none of these work.
And your name sounds to be very interesting. Mosclear. How did you come up with that name?
Well,
that's kind of, you made it into a verb.
I have to give credit to my daughter and my wife. They sat down with me. Even Soundsmiths was chosen by them.
Okay.
And even Mosclear, we sat down. We said, this looks good. This sounds good. This is fine. And the logo is actually designed by my daughter.
Okay.
And she chose the colors.
What was your thought behind naming it Mosclear?
We actually wanted to use it as a verb as well.
Okay.
We wanted to use it. So we wanted to use a tagline which said, you are now Moscleared.
Wow. Okay. Wonderful.
So get Mosclear today.
So that was intentional play.
It was intentional play.
And has it helped you when you approached your customers, when you introduced that, we are from Mosclear?
It looks like a good tagline, but because we have now decided not to go for the masses, it probably won't be of as much use. But I think having a verb like that sticks in your mind can be good for a brand.
Similar to what Maggie is doing, right? कि
Perfect.
भूख लगी है क्या करो 2 मिनट में मैगी बना
2
लो.
minute में Maggie.
2 minute में
Perfect.
Maggie is the verb that
It's stuck.
it's stuck with people. It's stuck with masses. But
Absolutely.
so what kind of examples you were discussing when you were coming up for names, or what thoughts were running in your mind?
Mosquito, Mosquito, I remember, was one that we discussed.
Okay, but it had a negative name.
It had a very negative. And what else? Pest free. I don't know. Some names like that we did think of, but yeah.
Okay, and Mosclear worked really well, and we've been seeing, as you suggested, that we've seen that in or you've placed that in multiple clubs and homes. Did you find any difficulty for even convincing a very premium customer? As you said, this is not built for masses, it is built for classes. So did you ever find any difficulty in convincing a classy customer, someone who owns a 50,000-70,000 square feet villa?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the knowledge doesn't exist, people doubt whether the system will work. So we actually sell all our systems now with a 2-month money back guarantee, and nobody
Okay.
returns machines.
Wow. So has that helped you? 2-month money back guarantee?
Yes, it does. It definitely has. It's allowed people to try, realize, see it's working, and accept it.
Okay. Has anyone come up with a request to refund or something?
No, somebody was perturbed for an indoor machine with the smell, but other than that, no one.
No one. So it's worked 99% of the time.
99%. It has worked.
Superb. So that's a good idea if you want to sell a high value product and people are not trusting if it will work or not. Money back guarantee kind of works.
If you're certain of your product, you can offer that.
You can offer that. Yeah, you need to be having confidence in your product that it will work.
And that's where my research.
Apart from this particular machine, did you kind of try getting any other solution for this problem, or this was the only solution you found and you went ahead with it?
This was the best solution, so I didn't look for anything else.
Okay.
This was the best solution. So we didn't look. There are Chinese manufacturers who have written to us since asking us to promote. They've got some standardized formula.
Okay.
No test results. They're mass manufacturers. This is a company that is probably the world leader in mosquito research.
So what is the technology used in this? Because you said this is very expensive, 60,000-70,000 is the minimum price. Yeah, the
machine is expensive. It uses food grade CO2 and a human scent mimic, which are the only two ways that a mosquito finds you. A mosquito can track your body smell and the carbon dioxide that you breathe out from 50 meters.
Right.
That's how they track you. So we make it feel it's a human being.
Okay.
All mosquitoes in a 50-meter radius go towards it and get trapped inside the bag.
Okay.
And they die a natural death inside. So there are no chemicals in any part of the process.
So it doesn't even impact the human being?
Nothing. You could stand next to it.
No harm to it.
No harm. And the CO2 that we release is less than what a human being breathes out in a day. It's actually equivalent to a child.
Wonderful. Completely. And does this machine have any backing by any institutions globally?
It's tested by the biggest institutions in the world. It's sold across the world. They've been doing this for 2 decades.
So does that help you sell?
It does, but the Indian value system becomes a block.
Next one is also something similar, right? Your next business. We're coming to the 4th business that you did, KyoAir.
Yes, thank you.
Do you want to speak a little about it? KyoAir, why the name, what the technology?
KyoAir is inspired by the name of the Japanese city Kyoto.
Yeah.
And it stands for purity, sincerity.
Okay.
And
so this product is into air purification.
Air purification. You know it personally as a friend that I was asthmatic as a child.
Yeah.
I was able to grow out of it because we tried everything on me. Every possible ilaj that anybody suggested to my family, they put, because my case was severe. And then I exercised my way out of it. But I have seen nights where I couldn't breathe. It was as if I was being suffocated. I was being, throttled on the neck. It was bad. I've seen those days. So I learned the value of air way back then as a young child, 10 years old. I started studying air purification about 10 years ago, pre-COVID times.
Okay.
Because a lot of my clients for my Soundsmiths business were in Delhi. And I saw every time I went to Delhi for that work, how I would get allergies, colds, coughs.
We all know the Delhi AQI.
So I saw the problem pre-COVID, but nobody was willing to talk about it. Since those days, I was probably, even today when I go to Delhi, I'm the only one in the entire city wearing a mask.
Still.
It's still pretty bad. The problem is very, very severe. So I've been studying it since then. I did a lot of study, talked to a lot of people, spoke to a lot of foreign companies,
Mm.
learned their technologies, tried to convince them to come to India with the machine. There are 2-3 very, very good solutions abroad,
Okay.
but they are not willing to understand the Indian requirement,
Mm.
which is very different from normal air pollution, and they're not willing to understand how the Indian market operates.
Right.
Their vision is 1.x billion people.
Mm.
10% is super rich.
Right.
We want 10% of that. So many. Anyway, that's one part of the problem.
Mm.
Other problem is that we have very specific issues in India, in an Indian home, that are not relevant abroad. Our ceilings are higher.
In Indian homes.
Indian home ceilings
Okay.
are higher. Their calculations which they publish are based on 8-foot ceilings and 9-foot ceilings. In India, 10, 11,
10,
15
11 is normal.
is pretty normal.
Yeah.
And big in large homes, it's
Large
even
homes,
more.
it's even more.
It's even more.
Your offices are even more.
Yes, we have cooking oils which they don't have. We have agarbattis, incense. We use a lot of cleaning liquids with phenyl and other stuff, which is not being used abroad.
Yeah.
So our indoor air, all around the world, it's a known fact that indoor air is about 5 times worse than outdoor air, which is a fact. I'm not sure whether you're aware of that.
I was not aware till I met you and saw your product.
Well, so in certain cases, it can be even worse than 5. But let's say 2 to 5 is the WHO understanding of how
2
bad
to 5?
times worse than outdoor.
Oh, indoor air is worst.
Yes. And the biggest pollutant is probably carbon dioxide, which cannot be solved unless you get fresh air. But indoor air is very bad. And because of Indian conditions, it's
But
worse.
we've always been thinking in a way that, indoor air is good. Zyada pollution hai to bahar mat niklo, ghar mein raho.
I have my monitor here. I brought this along to show it to you. If you see this, right now you're breathing pristine air.
Okay.
This is real pristine air that you've got inside here.
What are the readings?
The carbon dioxide shows that they're getting fresh air,
Okay.
which is missing in most ventilations.
Okay.
They don't have any gases and liquids and odors also as well. So it's really excellent.
We're safe here.
air. And this is one of our key products because I think most people do not realize that what they're breathing is bad. And there's no way to relate this to the machines working.
Okay.
So our machines have been designed, of
This
course,
is AQI 3435, which is what?
excellent.
Good? Excellent.
It's very good.
Super.
It's very good. So this product of mine relates to my air purifiers.
Okay.
And it controls the machines automatically. So it increases, decreases speed based on the pollution in your environment.
Okay. So this particular small device is linked to your air purifiers.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can link it and it can automate the process. It starts off on its own. It closes on its own. Fan speed can change. All that. And what we've done inside our machines is chosen filtrations that are relevant for the Indian problems, India's specific problems that I told you.
Right.
And right now in major cities, one of the biggest problem is the construction dust which comes in, which is ultra fine.
But government is taking some precautions for it, right? They ask you to, spray the water, mist and all.
Yeah, well, they're doing what they can.
Does that not cover?
I don't think you ask anybody living around a construction site, that has never been adequate, unfortunately.
Okay.
So this is actually, when you're asking about the business, this is actually the first business where I've started something where personal connect will not be required as much as my previous businesses. And a lot of the messaging can go out because these facts are very relatable.
Yeah.
The fact that I told you that there's a difference in the pollutants in India is very relatable.
Correct.
The fact that Indian ceilings are different, the fact that we have construction going on, and people who live in that areas will know that these problems. So it's easy to explain.
Yeah.
So we have built multiple layers. Our
Is it
smallest
also-
machine has got 5 layers.
Is it also easy to explain because your competitions have already built the market for it?
Yes. Again, this is the first time I'm entering a market where there's an existing, there's an existing supply
Probably
line.
you're not ahead of time, but you are entering the right time.
Yes, I think this is the first time I decided not to create a market, but enter a market which has a genuine lacking of good supply. So we don't have to create a demand for the product, but we have to just explain the difference.
Okay. And why do you think you are the only right guy to do this? Because there are a lot of other competitions, right? Why do you think you are the right guy to solve this problem?
I think most of it will come from my background. The way Germans taught me precision, or, the suffering that I had as a child, or the cough and cold that I felt every time I traveled to Delhi in the winters. I think all that put together made me realize, and of course, the study of the technologies that I've been doing for 10 years consistently, including electrostatic filters and ionizers, etc. I learned what was most suitable for India.
Okay.
And I took a conscious call to make sure that each product of mine has as many of these filters as possible.
Okay.
And that they were all high powered enough to tackle large Indian rooms. We will try to educate people that pure HEPA filter is not adequate because they touch only particulate matter, none of the other things that I told you about.
Yeah.
And
we only think HEPA filters are enough for
HEPA
our air
filters are not
purifiers.
enough. You need much more. For virus and bacteria, HEPA does nothing. It actually becomes a breeding ground for virus and bacteria.
Oh.
So
something that you're bringing to clean your air, it is contaminating it.
Yes, it's a secondary breeding ground, and in a place like Bombay, where the air is moist, it's fertile. And then when you blow air through it, when the fan's working, you actually disperse the virus and bacteria faster through the air. So we have got UV lights that kill the bacteria that accumulate on the filters. So we're trying to bring the difference because we have genuinely studied. So I think integrity in the topic and my research is probably...
So why is someone not talking about, or anyone not talking about this problem that the air purifier devices have?
Well, I think it may not suit them because it's not a part of their product design or their thought process. People are selling by simply overstating room sizes, or they're just writing the word HEPA. HEPA has got 14 degrees. They could be supplying you HEPA 10. We don't know what they're putting inside. They write HEPA. We are doing HEPA 13.
Okay.
Which is the most optimum for homes. HEPA 14 is used only in extremely critical places, and it's a difficult product to manufacture as well.
Okay.
So HEPA 13 is the gold standard, and that's what we use. So people are not talking about it. They should. We need much more awareness on air quality, because what you do not realize is that air pollution is the second largest killer in the world today. It's second only to blood pressure.
Do you have numbers to prove that?
WHO, not my numbers. Aditya Gupta's numbers have got no value. WHO, a couple of years ago, estimated it to be 8.1 million people globally
because of air pollution.
Only because of air pollution.
My God.
Second largest killer after blood pressure. Wow. Their estimate is that on a global average, 25% of heart attacks are caused by air pollution.
Oh. And there's no solution to air pollution apart from these air purifiers? No other solution?
See, we live 90% of our time indoors.
Yeah.
So you just need to make that time good. Then your body has got enough strength to fight and develop immunity for the 2 hours that you're outside.
And when you say 90% of the times we are indoors, that is your home and office? Majorly.
Home, office, bedroom, gym, car, commute. So we have bought models for all. I've even got a model which will allow you to run outside with a HEPA 13 filtered air coming to you with a fan built in, so you don't have to strain.
Fan built in, but will it not make it more bulky?
No, the fan and the filter is put on your arm.
Okay.
And it's a simple N95 mask that you can buy from the medical shop.
Right.
Put it on and hook it up, and you're breathing clean air.
Wow.
So now you don't have to stay indoors on a bad day.
Super. So you can go out for a run even in the most polluted day.
Absolutely.
In Delhi.
And this is the major part of our branding and marketing exercise. That indoor air is worse than outdoor air.
Yeah.
You spend 90% of your time indoors.
Yes.
And you can make all those indoor spaces good. So that is the marketing and
communication
that we are looking at. So everything is built around that.
So you said this fourth business of yours is the only business which won't require a lot of your personal connects or personal intervention to communicate the benefits of this product.
Hopefully not. I'm hoping that my communication.
So what else are you doing apart from just reaching out to your personal contacts? What else are you doing for this particular business to reach to the right audiences?
We are building an extensive website that will talk a lot about the health problems. It'll talk about the solutions. It'll talk about India specific problems and how they will be resolved and how they should be resolved.
Yeah.
The need for good air quality and how you can bring your life down to the WHO specified global health requirement that you should be breathing at a certain point of PM 2.5
Yeah.
average through the year.
Mm.
Unfortunately for us, the Indian standard is about 8 times more lenient than the WHO recommended standard.
Why so?
Don't know. I think they probably decided that's the benchmark, but
And when was this benchmark set? What, 50 years ago?
I don't know. A few years. I don't think it's that old, but I
Okay.
don't know when.
Okay. And there's no one to take care of it or change, or how frequently it is revisited that, now this is the benchmark.
I don't know when it's being revisited. I don't know when it's being, or I have no clue about that segment.
Okay.
But our brand is designed to communicate cleanliness, pure colors, name. The name has to be carefully chosen, and we realize, because I'm getting into the consumer segment, while choosing a name, it has to be easily memorizable,
Yeah.
small.
Small.
You got to check for SEO and SEM before you start. And now, of course, AIO and GEO, you have to check for that beforehand.
Yeah.
Unless you do that checking beforehand, you can't even choose a name. Then you come to the
So
color.
this gets me to my next interesting question. And you touched upon different marketing medias that you're doing: SEO, SEM. What else? You're doing website where you are
AIO.
educating your customers, AIO. What else are you doing, or what else today, if someone wants to start a consumer business, what else they should be doing?
If you're
to
looking at
educate
an
their customers?
education-intensive business, you must have blogs.
Yeah. Okay.
You must be able to make those blogs reach people.
Okay.
The marketing can also be extended beyond product. See, I learned this years ago. Start with the why.
Mm.
And the why has got two parts. Why you are doing it, but
Is it
more
the same
importantly,
concept by Simon Sinek?
Simon Sinek's
Okay.
start with why. And I
Okay.
think it's a golden learning. You should be conscious of that in any business. Start with why you're doing it, like I said. More importantly, why is it important for the client? Why should he buy it? Why does he need it? Why he should, etc.
Right.
Then you come to the how.
Okay.
How you resolve the problem from the client's perspective.
Right.
What are you resolving for him? How you are doing it. That is where our filters and things come in.
Correct.
And what is the final product? I think that should be the smallest part of your discussion.
And that's how I think, even if you've seen that video by Simon Sinek where he explains the concept of golden circle and why, how, and
Yes,
what.
exactly.
And he's explained this is
That's
what even Apple does in their communications, right?
And I think that's a very, very nice way of explaining a problem as severe as air quality.
Yeah. And this can be applied to any business vertical, right? From a consumer vertical or a business vertical,
I
B2B
think it should
business.
be applied to every business.
Every
It
business.
can. I think it's a must.
So that's a missing part which we all feel is the current new founders or new brands that are coming in are missing it.
Yeah. I see many times people are focusing too much on the product.
Product. मेरा product अच्छा है, इसके ये features है, ले
I've
लो.
got the best coffee mug in the world.
Yeah.
Mine is made out of 30 gram more ceramic than yours.
Yeah.
But what's
How does it matter to the customer?
Yeah. To make your coffee taste better, then it matters.
Yeah.
So bring out a why. There has to be a why. Otherwise, genuinely, why start a business?
Why start a business? Yeah. Wonderful. This is a great learning for someone who's starting a new business. Super. And now you tell me, we always talk about this concept and about, when you start a business, there has to be one product market fit, and then there also has to be a founder market fit.
Yeah, well, I think I touched part of that earlier. For me,
No, so I was coming to a part where we understood that founder market fit is necessary. It can become your asset. But do you also think that it even becomes a liability at sometimes?
oh yes, I've learned that. I've learned that the hard way. Say, for example, when we were doing the business of the Soundsmiths, I bought in brands and products that were absolutely superb sounding because they were driven by my passion.
Right.
So that those brands became a liability. You can't sell them. They had no market fit. So founder fit is important because without that passion, you can't find the right product or the right business, or you'll be driven. You'll not be driven for that excellence that passion can bring. But you have to also take care of product market fits, which my passion allowed me to overlook altogether. Even in this category of air purifiers, I'm sure I can get in good looking machines and I can start following that part of the design. But I can't let it override product market
fit.
Product market fix. I would say it has to match the price as well.
Also, yeah. So a learning from here is that founder market fit will help you identify which business you want to get into, but a product market fit or a price product market fit, in your word, will help you kind of understand if this business will be able to, business will survive or not, and you'll make money out of it or not.
Absolutely. I think that is a must, but you have to be very careful and you have to be cynical when you're looking at a founder product fit, because I think our passion creates a lot of blind spots.
Yeah.
Creates so many blind spots in our vision. We start imagining things will be accepted, will be liked, people will love it, people will come jumping, running at it. You have to be cynical.
Yeah.
And you have to be open to a lot of criticism, checks from friends, family, consultants, advisors.
Have you seen this happening a lot in recent times over the last 5-7 years?
Yeah, I think you'll find it with people who had good stories.
Yeah.
But they imagined that this is so beautiful, and the product must have been brilliant.
Yeah.
But then they just imagined
There's
that
no
this would
market
be
for it.
accepted.
I was coming to a point where, is it also because of in today's, totally digital world, social first world, we are connected to so many people and we see so many gurus and coaches telling you, follow your passion, follow your passion. Is it kind of a blind spot, or it creates a blind spot?
It can create a wishful blind spot very easily.
Hai na?
I must say I'm lucky to have been able to follow my passion in whatever I choose to do, rather than making what I do my passion. I've been lucky, but of course I've had the same blind spot issues.
Yes.
And I've failed multiple times when I'm choosing a product for my audio video business, not suitable for the Indian market. I was too ahead of my time.
Yeah. How can you kind of, avoid that blind spot? Or what should you do, or what should one do if they want to start a business? How can they avoid this blind spot?
For me, it was unfortunately experience. I had to learn the hard way.
Okay.
But I think you have to rely a lot on the circle that you move around with.
Okay.
Or a genuine advisor or somebody from the field.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody about Amazon yesterday. I got a lot of insights which I did not have.
Okay.
So people like that, people who you can trust, who don't have a vested interest in giving you an idea or a yes.
Yeah.
Somebody who can be genuinely critical. You need somebody like that. You need a few people, many people like that, not few, many people.
And you should be ready to take feedback.
Yes, because it's very easy to say, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I know. This music system people will love.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Doesn't work like that. Consumer insights.
Market insights. There's a broad market idea that you need to get before you get it. And of course, you need to know the consumer.
Yeah.
Is the end user.
Perfect. And this consumer insights brings me to a very interesting topic. Both these last businesses that you've started, KyoAir and Mosclear, these are very scientifically backed products, right? So how did you, one, gather the right consumer insight and communicated that through your marketing claims?
Well, okay, so both have to be tackled slightly differently. Mosclear, even though we were using small quantities of carbon dioxide, it was very difficult to communicate, and we had to tell people, oh, we are using very small quantities, less than a human being, and it's very safe, etc. The communication was very difficult. It is very difficult.
Right.
And because of the value proposition and the lack of a mass market base, this is done only over personal communication. We've tried to put as much of it as possible into our materials and website, but it never works completely by itself. There is a lot of personal intervention required. In KyoAir, because the problems are well known and easily understood by people, if you just define that my machine will tackle these issues, which HEPA alone does not, I think the message can get across much more easily.
Okay.
You don't have to get too scientific into it. You don't have to get too scientific.
But when you talk about HEPA and 13 different or 14 different levels of HEPA that you have, will it not become more technical for a common man? Yeah.
Now there we had a bit of a struggle because people like to read technical validation as well.
Okay.
They need certain technical validations as well. You can't just write a purifier that cleans air, odors, gases, chemicals.
Right.
This is not backed by anything. So certain amount of technical will be there, but I think your
Okay.
input is right that if we probably go to the B2C level, we might have to tone down the technical part. You're right about that.
How do you plan to do it for KyoAir?
So KyoAir, I think then we'll have to bifurcate.
One thing I remember you mentioned in our conversation that you're building a website which doesn't just have only products listed on it, but it has a lot of information about how can you
there'll be a founders blog.
Founders blog जहाँ पे you can get information about PureAir, why is it necessary.
And we are also building a book of truth.
Okay, can you explain that?
So the book of truth is all these facts about air.
Okay.
The problems that it has, what it causes, how it causes, how you can resolve it, where the problem is hidden, etc. It'll be an interactive, gamified kind of part of our website.
Okay.
Where anybody who wants to learn more in a non-technical scripted text manner, they'll be able to understand and see the problem.
Okay, wonderful.
So that I hope to educate people with as well.
And are you integrating any AI? Because AI is a buzzword now.
AI can be integrated. Yes, we are considering a chatbot which will be fed all the information.
Okay.
And we could, we would like to do that. We are just not certain on how the formatting should be.
Okay.
We'll do some part of some method of it, and how deep we go is to be decided.
And from marketing, let's come to competition. You already have a lot of competition who are brands that are selling air purifiers, right? Some of them that I know is Dyson, very well known.
Yes.
Then Honeywell. Then there's one more brand that I've heard of, KyoAir probably.
Yes, KyoAir is a large seller.
So how do you kind of compete with them? One in terms of pricing and second in terms of your features.
Features will have to be explained or read by the customer, and we'll try and make it as graphic and easy to understand as possible. But our biggest advantage is the price. We have removed the brand tax from it.
Okay. So when you say substantially lower, how lower? Maybe half the price or one third the price?
At least 20 to 30% below.
Wow. Is it sustainable?
Very sustainable. They're just charging you a brand tax.
That's it.
That's it.
And what makes us believe, or what will make us believe that you will not charge us a brand tag after 2 years if you become a bigger brand?
I can't answer. I wish I could look into the future and my name was Nostradamus. I can't predict what I do. But our aim being that clean air is affordable and real clean air requires a lot of things. We'd like to keep that message continuing. So I don't know whether we're going to get greedy and start doing that. I'd rather teach people how to use this device along with my machines, integrate the solution, make it a part of their daily life, automate it, remove human error. There are so many other value additions that we'd like to bring to the table.
Now let's talk about each transition that you've had in your careers.
Okay.
We've talked about different businesses, 4 to be precise. And you transitioned, right? It was not ever, or you tell me if it was ever that you run 2 multiple businesses together?
2 years. Since 2 years, I've been running Mosclear and Soundsmiths together.
Okay.
And now I'm adding the 3rd. So I'm going to be running 3 together.
Okay. So what, or how did you transition from one business to another when you are starting the second business?
Before you transition, you got to make sure that the foundation for your previous business is well established.
Okay. When you say foundation, as in what else is required for setting the foundation?
Processes, responses.
Okay.
Because the client is not concerned whether you're running 1 business or 2.
Right.
He's paid you something. He needs to be delivered.
Correct.
And I think the autopilot idea that people are promoting in business, that should be rock solid in one before you try another.
What all should be put on autopilot? Or what all can you put on autopilot?
Well, at least all the processes that can be predefined, anything that can be put on paper should be put on autopilot.
Okay.
The part that I do not put on autopilot in my Soundsmith business is the design for each client, because that is very, very individual and specific to each project. So that cannot be put on autopilot. But once that is designed,
there will be designers who can do the same work as you do, right?
Yeah, but not with my knowledge and integrity. It's like asking a general practitioner and the head of heart at Asian Heart Institute to design a heart surgery. They're both doctors, but it's not the same thing.
Super. Very well explained and right example, I feel. Wonderful.
So what happens after the solution is designed can be automated.
Yeah. The execution part of it.
That can be automated. And that should be.
Yeah.
If you're in such a personalized business, and if you're not in a personalized business, automate the sales as well, which is what I hope to do with KyoAir.
KyoAir. Tell me one mistake that you have done in these out of these 4 businesses, in any one business, one mistake that you have done, which you still regret?
I overvalued what people would be willing to pay for getting rid of mosquitoes in their homes and in their homes, offices, restaurants, where it directly impacts their life and even their revenue in the case of restaurants. People don't see adequate value.
And how would you probably change it for the next time?
Find a product that fits better into the value chain. I'm going to check on the Indian value aspect first before doing any other business, which is why KyoAir is priced where it is priced.
Wow. So check on the value aspect of your customers first, how they perceive.
Their value perception has to be carefully evaluated and double, triple, quadruple checked before you enter.
We've been talking a lot about you doing 4 businesses in last 40 years, right? What is that one message that you would like to give to a businessman who wants to do multiple businesses or who wants to run multiple businesses?
I think these are so diverse businesses.
Yeah.
If I had to find a common thread between them, the only thing I would say is integrity.
Okay.
Only integrity. And I think that should be a base for anybody, for any business.
Any vertical, B2B, B2C?
Without integrity, nothing.
Nothing. Now, very interesting one.
Okay.
A little personal. I hope you're ready for it. Yeah.
If you say so.
So from 1986 is what you started, and we are in 2026, precisely 40 odd years, 4 different verticals. What is that the Aditya Gupta DNA that sets you apart from any other entrepreneur?
Perseverance.
Okay. Can you explain? Because perseverance, everyone says that, but not everyone is able to follow.
I could have given up Soundsmiths at the beginning because it was a difficult task.
Okay.
Nobody was there. There wasn't a ready market for it. You had to explain to people exactly what, make them experience the difference. Without perseverance, you couldn't have done it. And the same applies to Mosclear as well. We are still persevering with the same gusto that we can solve your mosquito problem. And we prove it. So that is critical. And I think we'll apply the same to KyoAir as well. We'll make sure everybody gets clean air.
But isn't it in KyoAir, when you talk about KyoAir, isn't it difficult to sell a solution in India which is invisible?
You are absolutely right. It is invisible, which is why education is important.
So how do you kind of tackle that with this?
That's the device. Nobody else has understood the value of letting people understand. I'll be saying, if somebody wants, we are willing to let them hire it for some time.
Okay.
Check the air and realize what the difference is. And then buy.
So this doesn't come as a bundle with every product?
We have priced it separately because some people might want to check what their current filters are doing.
Okay. Wonderful. This brings me to rapid fire rounds. So rapid fire, first question. What's the most overrated marketing tactic that you have seen?
Overstating capabilities, hyping what the product does.
Okay. Any brand that comes to your mind? I told you I'll put you in a spot.
I don't want to get into trouble.
And the most underrated marketing tactic that you find today?
Will you pay me for a private consultancy report? I can give you a list of products that will...
and then we'll publish it on your website.
Thank you. I opt out.
Okay. Most underrated?
The truth.
The truth. Now this I think you can explain a little or give names.
I think the truth is hard, sometimes difficult to digest.
Yeah.
But I think that should be the underlying factor for everything that we speak, do. Especially when you're communicating to a third person, whether it's through branding, advertising, in any circumstance.
So any brand that you admire speaking truth?
Yeah, one brand that I think stands out in my mind would be a company called The Whole Truth.
Naam mein truth hai.
Naam mein truth hai. And they've actually lived up to that.
Okay.
I see that they're very clear about it. And there's a certain truthness about the truth. It feels like the truth. It doesn't feel like a false claim.
Why do you say so?
The messaging is very good. I think it's the way the content is presented. I think they've got the guts to print their contents on the front of
the ingredients label, on the front
of the package rather than hide it in small fine print at the back. There are, I don't know, you just feel good about it. You just feel good.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go and check the facts, but I believe that they're right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, sometimes you do feel that you're being taken for a ride.
Yeah.
The other one is actually, the other name that comes to my mind is actually...
Before you say the other name, I think you made a very valid point that marketing can make you believe that it is true, right?
Of course it can.
Because I've put it in the front, people will perceive it to be true. कि यार इसने इतना छाती ठोक के सामने लिखा है तो यार ये तो सच ही बोल रहे हैं.
Of course it can. And
I'm not saying they are wrong, but I'm saying people perceive what you show them.
But see, he took a gamble by doing something like that.
Yeah.
He moved away from the line.
Yes.
He did something different.
He
Who
became
prints it
successful.
on the front? Everybody puts a name, logo, description, beautiful figures. Nothing.
Super.
Good idea, and it's worked for him.
It's worked for him.
It's worked for him.
Sorry,
So
and you were
that's
saying
good.
something else.
So the what I was saying was the other name is actually is an odd name. It's neither a product or a service. It's a YouTube
Name.
channel by a guy called the channel's called Food Farmer.
Yeah, we all have heard about him.
Yeah, it can be a little harsh at times, but
He is harsh on brands. All the food brands,
and I think
especially.
even the listeners must be finding him harsh. But I think the truth hits you so beautifully that you want to listen to it, see it, even if it's harsh.
I don't think listeners would be finding it harsh because in today's time, I think we all like someone who's taking a side and not just staying in between. Kya ye bhi acha hai, wo bhi acha hai.
Shayad
We like someone who's taking one particular side, and we believe.
Yeah, and he's giving you scientific proof with it. And I think he's I am sure he's fighting battles against these big brands who must.
We
be
already
out to
heard
get
him. He's got too many lawsuits worth crores already
against him.
that he's fighting already. Yeah.
So that's where perseverance comes in.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's doing what he's doing.
And I think now the entire India is supporting, and he's also running a campaign. He's made us all build a habit of reading the labels, the ingredients before we consume anything. Otherwise, that was never the case in our childhood ever.
I think he's done a good job.
Yeah.
So truth helps.
Truth helps. The whole truth and the food farmer. Wonderful. You've done multiple businesses as we've discussed throughout this episode, right? What brings calm to this entire chaos of managing multiple businesses, running multiple businesses?
I think if you're running multiple businesses or you're working for such a long time, and when you make choices like I did with choosing products and brands that were not a ready market fix or was not just filling a hey, opportunity, chal isko 5 piece de dete hain, let's make some quick money.
Correct.
I think the first thing you need to have to keep calm is faith.
Faith in yourself or the product?
It includes both. I think they're both the same.
Yeah.
If you're driving it by passion, I think it ends up being the same. So faith, I think, has to be. You can't lose faith. You lose faith, it becomes very difficult. So you must have faith, and you must continue holding that, and that's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Beyond that, I think you can add a lot of physical factors which will help. Regular exercise, plan your sleep properly,
Meditation,
healthy foods, workouts. You
do a lot of workout at this age. You're what, 60?
Almost 60.
Almost 60, and you climb 60 floors every.
I climb that once a week.
Once a week. Wow.
I climb that once a week in non-stop. I do that. So all that helps. When you're climbing 60 floors, trust me, your mind has got no space to think
Seriously,
of anything
else.
It's just the next step, just the next step, just the next step. And completing 60 requires that faith, integrity, perseverance, whatever you want to call it. You commit to yourself. Most days I'm
so
climbing
in a way, when you're climbing those 60 floors, you're persisted to, mujhe 60 to karna hi hai. And that's what that mindset, I think, also kind of gets converted in your business also, that mujhe ye persist karna hi hai.
All these habits help.
Hai na?
All habits help.
Yeah.
Positive habits, of course.
Obviously. We're not talking negative here.
Yes. Nothing on this show.
Right. So on that note, one last piece of advice that you would give any entrepreneur who is trying to do multiple ventures.
If you're lucky enough to build a venture on one existing business, like I had Soundsmiths for 20 years. So I have a lot of market insight into how H&I clients live.
Yeah.
I have clients who are H&I. I have design teams who cater to them. So I have a certain market base. I understand how they fit. And I also had a chance to study how they live, what their real world problems are. So that knowledge transported to the next one is slightly easier than starting a completely new vertical.
Yes.
So both my
yes.
next two ventures are based on that knowledge.
The
Of
same
course,
customer segment and solving their problem.
yes, solving their problem. Of course, with KyoAir, I'm planning to go to a wider audience, much wider audience. But the knowledge is well studied because I have that.
Yeah.
I have that direct connect with the database. So I think you should have your database, your ideas, product market fix, everything very, very clear in mind. Very clear, double check, triple check, like I mentioned, that has to be done. Beyond that, I would just say two things: integrity, perseverance, must, and your business should be on autopilot before you move to the next. You can't let one baby die while you're having another one.
Otherwise, both will fail.
Both will fail.
Yeah. Wonderful insight. So put one business on autopilot before you want to move on to the next one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Perfect. Super. Thank you. Thank you so much, Aditya, once again for coming for this episode, imparting your knowledge of 40 plus years with us, running multiple businesses, and still finding time to meditate, do exercise, and come on podcasts like this.
Ankit, like I told you, this is my first podcast.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for the opportunity. And it was great having this conversation. I think a couple of minutes into the interview, I had forgotten that we were having a formal interview.
Yeah.
It felt so nice talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope I've been able to pass on some information that helps.
100%. I'm sure the listeners and all the viewers on different platforms will definitely get something out of it.
Thank you very much for the opportunity,
sure.
Ankit.
Thank
and
you.
all the best to you.
Thank you so much, Aditya. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening or viewing this episode with us today. Whatever you like from this episode or the insights that you take from it, please mention that in the comments so that everyone else can learn from it. And thank you so much once again.